Okay, so we're reviewing today. On Monday, your homework is due. Follow the directions on the assignment sheet. Have it ready. Okay, we'll go over that in a second. The assignment sheets are posted. They've been emailed, they were posted. I have a few more, just a handful left. Okay. 8:30. Whether it be tomorrow, Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, anybody's welcome to come into the co-rec, because on Monday before the test, the co-rec is going to get to ask more questions. Okay, that's the fringe benefit of being in the co-rec. At 10 o'clock, be on time. 10% off your raw score if you're late. Pencil only, -5 points if you don't use a pencil. Finish on time. Test is over at 11:50. 11:50, 10 points off if I don't have it by 11:50. I'm not going to extend them. And then on Wednesday, we start chapter 2. Before I go over the comparison between the test and let's see what happens. Assignment sheet. There's all the homework assignments you're supposed to have done. In red, I even put it in red over here, 1.2, omitting those 4 problems. 1.4, you're omitting those. 1.7, you're omitting 61 and 63. But most importantly is following the directions down here. First thing, the review sheet is not part of the homework. You don't have to turn that in. You don't have to turn that in with your homework packet. Second thing, this cover sheet has to be turned in with your homework. Should we staple onto the front? Please make sure you have your first and last name legibly. First and last name. And then first page of your homework packet when you turn it in on the day of the test. Make homework turnaround time more efficient. You are to score each of those sections right here out of 10 points. Okay, with honesty and integrity. If somebody in truth did not do a single homework, turned in 0 out of, they only had 4 sections, so 0 out of 40. What did I give him? 20 out of 20, because he turned it in with honesty and integrity. So he at least got 20 points out of 60. He was honest. He turned in what he had. He had the assignment sheet. I'll take that over people copying out of the back of the book, getting no use out of it whatsoever. But you score each one. Okay. As you grade yourself, ask yourself, did you attempt each problem? Did you write down each problem? Some of them you don't have to write down the whole thing. When it's matching the graph to the other graph, you don't have to copy down all the graphs. Okay. Did you show work with your attempt? Or it's just answers? This has been on the assignment sheet. And is it neat, organized, and legible? When you turn in your assignment packet, make sure the pages, the homework sections are in order, not 1.1, 1.5, 1.3, 1.7, 1.2. Because I will be, going through it. And then please, you are to add up your total. How many did you earn out of 70 points? No decimals. Nice integer. If you think you deserve a 5.1, round up to a 6. I'll never know the difference. But I'll notice if you have a 5.1, you round up to a 10. That I'll notice, or even a 9 or even an 8. Because I do notice something. Okay? What do you earn out of 70? And then I score your score. I grade how you graded your homework out of 20. And you get an overall grade out of 90 points. Okay? I'm not going to start the test until I have all the homework. I'm not going to say I have all the homework until I've gone through everything. And I'm going to check the cover sheet, make sure everybody's is all added up. Everything is stapled, not paper clipped, not in a folder. You're handing me like a folder or a spiral notebook of homework. That's not what it says. I'll correct you, please. Listen, if I had 40 spiral notebooks, I would need the bag boy to help me out to the car with my, paper bags full of notebooks. Okay? Or a shopping cart or something to take it out to the car. Just staple it. That's what I expect. And if it's this thick, then I hope you were writing on both pages of these, or both sides. Things we learned. Okay? Any questions? No late homework. No late homework. Okay. Wrong way. That's wrong. So here's how the test and that's way too far. Right? How the test and the review sheet compare. So if you're looking at your review sheet, I hope. I'm not going to ask you explicitly questions 1 and 2. And that's because to do questions 3 and 4, or actually to do questions 5 and 6, you would have to be able to do 3 and 2 anyway. So here's how it breaks down. There's nothing where you just find slope. Numbers 3 and 4. You're going to have one of them. Number 5 and 6. You're going to have one of them. Okay. So 3 and 4 give you the equation of a line in standard form. You got to find the slope of the y-intercept. 5 and 6, they give you 2 points. You got to write the equation of the line and slope-intercept form. And then 7 through 10, the graphics, they're going to be multiple choice. You're going to have one of each. So there's a total of 4. You're going to have one of each. Okay. So 11 through 12. Doing the transformations. You're going to have a picture, and I'm telling you right now, your picture is either going to look like this, or it's going to look like this. Okay? You're going to have one of those. Just one. In each of these review sheet questions, there are three things. Negative f of x plus 3, and then a minus 2. So you have a reflection across the x-axis, you have a horizontal shift, and you have a vertical shift. Your test question is only going to have two of those three things. So maybe you have a shift across the x-axis and a horizontal shift. Or maybe you have a reflection across the x-axis and you have a vertical shift. Or maybe you have a horizontal shift and a vertical shift. But you're not going to have all three. Okay? 13, 14. Using interval notation, where is the function increasing and decreasing? Which one of those? And then here's where it gets a little messy, a little muddy. Numbers 15 through 19. So 15 through 19. You can see they're all the same function. You're going to have 5 of those. So when we say 5, maybe we have f plus g of a number, or f minus g of a number. But then you have f plus h of an x, or g minus h of an x. So you're going to do one with a number, you're going to do one with a variable. You're going to multiply one with a number, you're going to multiply 18, one with a variable. So you got to be able to do a numerical value and a variable. Numerical value, variable. And then I'm just going to ask you one of these divisions, just like 19. That's 5 total. Okay. 20 AD. You're going to have 2 like that. And number 20, C, D, and E. You're going to have 2 like that. So those are the composition of functions, composite functions. So A and B, you're plugging in a numerical value. And then C, D, and E, you're plugging in a variable. Number 21 is bonus life. I'll talk about bonus in a minute. Number 22, D, and 23. You're going to have one like that. So not 22A, where it's just F circle G of X. We've already done that over here with 20C and 22. But where you have to plug in something a little more challenging. And then number 24, we are using a diagram. You're going to have 2 like that. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 13, 15, 17, 18. 20 problems. Okay. That's how it matches up. There's an example of a bonus question. You remember this? This one that we did on Monday? Yes. Did it Monday? Bonus question. Picture. Oh, man. We did 94 to 100 evens. Bonus question. Inverse functions. Bonus question right there. Remember this. We can give them hints all along. I told you there would be a piecewise graphing problem that you would have to graph by hand. Bonus question. Graph of piecewise. Oh yeah, so I even told you about this one. There's no surprise. The difference quotients on a 1.3. Bonus question. So how in the world are you going to finish all that on the day of the test? I don't expect you to. That's why the bonus after one bonus, you have to come into an office hour. Only. It's available during office hours only. Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 8:20, or Tuesday, Thursday, 12 noon to 12:50. And I'm going to give you from next Wednesday to the following Wednesday. So from the 9th to the 16th. You don't have to, but that allows you to just focus on your test and your test only, 20 problems. I don't lecture on the day of the test. I'm not going to lecture before, not going to lecture after. When you're done, you're free to go. If you choose to do the bonus, you get one shot at it. No, again, no notes, but it's got to be during office hours. Don't show up at 8:15 thinking you're going to get 50 minutes. If you want the full 50 minutes, show up at 7:30. Don't show up at 11:50 expecting me to just break it out for you, right? I got a class that's trying to leave. I got to get things going. So during office hours only, from a Wednesday to the next Wednesday. Any questions? Now we just focus on those. And I just gave you a rundown of all the type of bonus questions you might see. Oh, one other thing. No scratch paper on tests. Everything's done on the test itself. Test is on you. Tell me what you want to see. On review? Yeah. Number 11 on the review. Yeah, it's always kind of important to let me know exactly which. Number 11 on the review. It's all about order pick. Negative f of x plus 3 and then a minus 2. 11 g of x is equal to negative f of x plus 3 and a minus 2. And I'm putting this in the middle so I have a place to put the ordered pairs, but in fact, I should be. That is the same graph. Same graph. Unfortunate. Technology left to okay. So make a list of your ordered pairs. Start from left to right. We have negative 4, so for x and f of x. We have negative 4, negative 4. Negative 1, positive 2. 4, 2. And then 8, negative 4. And then what you should do and always do is identify. We're trying to figure out these key individuals. Y equals A, if there is, A is always at least a 1, but A times F of X minus H, if there's a horizontal shift, it's inside parentheses with X, built-in negative, has to be inside of parentheses with the X. And then afterwards, the vertical shift would be the plus K. So identify if those things are there. What is this? Is there an A and what is? It's a -1, which means we're going to flip it. There's a flip across the x-axis. Which means all the y values are going to change signs. -4 become a +4. 2 becomes -2. Okay? The y values are going to change signs. But don't get ahead of yourself. Make a list of everything. What is A, what is H, and what is K? Find everything. I hate that. Really. I think I would have this figured out. Well, I just moved it. Just said that A was a -1. What is an H? There's something in there with X. So what is H that we're looking at? -3. Which means all of these X values are going to shift to the left 3 units. Everybody's going to go to the left 3 units. Come back to that in a second. And then what is this K value? -2. After we do the flip, because A is a negative, after we flip, -4 flips up to +4, then K is -2, then we shift it down 2 units. You do one thing at a time. First thing, let's find the X coordinates for the G function. Because you're going to need to know what the G function's graphs, where it's going to be. All you have to do, figure out H. H is -3. Is there any problem with that? Yes or no? No. Okay. Forget about ever looking at that F of X plus 3 ever again. Don't even look at it. Over here, understand. Since H is -3, this -4 is going to go 3 to the left. To go 3 to the left, this new ordered pair has to take that -4 and subtract 3 from it, because that's what H is, -3. -4 minus 3, this has to be a -7. But that's where it would end up if we moved it 3 to the left anyway. When I move this 3 to the left, I'll end up over here at -7. But don't try to look at the X plus 3 and think you're going to figure it out. What is H? -3. Look at this number. If I move it to the left 3 units, -4 ends up at -7. This X coordinate is now -7. -1 is going to go 3 to the left. So you're going to take that -1, and we're going to go 3 to the left. So if I take away 3, going this way, we're going to end up at -4. This 4 is going to go 3 to the left. So this 4, if I take away 3, we're going to end up at 1. For g of x is x coordinate. And if I take this 8 and slide it 3 to the left, 8 take away 3, the x coordinate here is going to be 5. Those are the x coordinates from a new graph. I don't even have to think about them anymore. Now I'm going to focus on the y. What the y coordinate is. The y coordinate is going through 2 changes. A is a -1, so we're going to change the sign because it's going to flip. And then k is -2, so then you can subtract 2. We're going to flip it. This -4 is going to flip up to +4. It's going to flip up to +4, and then it's going to shift down 2. So the way that happens is you're going to take this old y value, you're going to multiply by -1. So this -4 times a -1, and then you take away 2 more. -4 times -1 is +4. 4 minus 2, this is +4. When you graph this on your test, you have to label the point. This is at -7, +2. Ordered pair. This y coordinate is 2. So we're going to change the sign because there's a negative in front of the function. So it's this +2 times -1. And then you subtract 2 because that's what k is. -2, or 2 times -1 is -2. -2 minus 2, it's now at -4. What's that? -4, -4. That's this one. It's multiplied by -1, so it flips to -2. This flips to here. And then you subtract 2 more. You shift it down to here. Multiply by -1, and then shift it down. That's what happened to it. It flipped and shifted. You take 2 again, times -1, and then we take away 2. So there's -2 minus 2 again, we get -4, which I hope you see makes a lot of sense to the minute. So we're at 1 -4, vaguely. 1 -4. And then -4 multiplied by -1, because A is a negative, so that way it'll reflect, it'll flip. And then we take away 2. That's +4 minus 2. 4 minus 2, we're at 2. So that's going to be at 5, 2. Then you take your straight edge. You connect these from a nice straight line. It should be the same size and shape. as the original graph, just shifted, translated, maybe flipped. But you should have your plotted points and label the order there. Now, here's a good way to know if you got it right or wrong. It's not going to stretch. I'm not going to make you stretch it or stretch it this way. How far is it from -4 to +8? What's that distance? 12 units. So right here is -7. That's +5. Those 2 points, which are these 2 points, that got flipped up and then shoved down 2 units, they should still be 12 units apart. And they are. You see how this one is a nice horizontal line? Well, you better have a nice horizontal line right here. The distance or the length of that horizontal goes from -1 to 4. How far is it from -1 to 4? What's that one? 5 units. And over here, it's at -4 to 1, which is also 5 units in between. Okay. Same size and shape, just shifted left or right, up or down, or flipped. 2 out of those 3. Not 3 things, just 2 others. That was number 11. Next. 100. And 21 is like the bonus question that you would see. So on 21, we're given f of x is -6x plus 3. And g of x is equal to 9 minus x squared. And you're supposed to do g circle f, circle g, circle f, circle g, circle f, circle g of -3. This is what I expect to see in terms of work. I expect to see 3 things happening with respect to functions. Functions and operations on functions. First thing, I want to see the rewrite. So in other words, if you had something like, what is f plus, or we use different letters than that. If I had h plus q of a 3, then I would want to see the rewrite. What is h of 3 and then q of 3 plus q of 3? If you had what is q circle h of 3, I would want to see the rewrite. This means what is q of h of 3. I want to see the rewrite. Rewrite. Then step 2, you substitute. Then step 3, you simplify and repeat if necessary. which you'll see on this one, you're going to do some repeating. So the first thing I would have to see here is rewrite. This is G of F of G of F of G of F of G of -3. How do I know I have it right? There's 4 G's, 3 F's. 1, 2, 3, 4 G's, 1, 2, 3 F's. Make sure you close all the pencils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would want you to rewrite. Then begin. Rewrite it. And now we substitute. Where do I start? Start here, the innermost function. I can't start here because I don't know what I'm plugging into this G until I figure out what this F of that equals. I gotta figure out what F of that equals until I figure out what that equals. The only thing I can actually start with is here, which is order of operations. You got to do what's in the parentheses first. I got to start with this G of -3. G of -3. Substitute, simplify. Whatever goes in, 9 minus x squared. So this is 9 minus parentheses -3 squared. So G of -3 is equal to 9 minus 9. G of -3 is equal to 0. Now I expect you to rewrite the whole thing. I'm fine with you just going, all right, this is 0. Okay, I wouldn't cross out the G of -3, I would just put a 0 right above. So now you're going to do F of that 0. So that 0 goes into the F function. 0 goes in F, -6 times x plus 3. -6 times 0 plus 3. We get 0 plus 3. What is 0 plus 3? Okay. Waited a little too long on that. So F of this 0, this is now 3. So now it's going to be G of that 3. Okay. So we're going to pick G of that 3. And 3 goes into G, 9 minus x squared. So this is 9 minus 3 squared. So G of that 3 is 9 minus 9. What do we get? So I don't expect you to do the whole thing. I mean, if you have that much kind of time on your hands, you will establish a pattern. You got to show me at least until you get to the pattern, but you should establish a pattern. Once you establish the pattern, think it through, and you'll get to the answer. The bottom line is G of this 3 is going to be a 0, and then F of that 0 is going to turn it right back into a 3, and G of that 3 is going to turn it right back into a 0, and then G of that 0 is going to turn it right back into a, oops, F of that 0, F of that 0 is going to turn it right back into a 3, and G of the 3 is going to turn it right back into 0. Or how about this? What's the outer function? What's a very outside function? So you're going to end up doing G of whatever. And when you did G, it was going to be G of 3. If the pattern holds, and it will, you're going to end up with G of 3. So the answer would be 0. This question as a bonus question is not so much a question because it's difficult, it's to see who runs away when they look at it. Who's willing to give it a shot? We'll just kind of rewrite it, plug in a few, see the pattern, and then work through. The last thing I'm going to do is going to take G of whatever. Well, the answer should be 0 because that's what happens when I took G of whatever. G changes it back into 0. But
you have something like 18, 18,
tell me exactly which one you want me to do.
18.
18. I'm not very good at like something like that. It's like my asking for a Christmas present. Could you give me something like that? By the way, surefire way to get me anything. Let me write because 15 through 18 use the same functions. I'm going to leave that up here. 15 through 19. Numbers 15 through 19. F of x is equal to 2x plus 1. G of x is going to equal 3x minus 2. And h of x is going to equal x minus 3 squared. For 18b, we're supposed to do g times h of x. Rewrite it, substitute, simplify, repeat if necessary. Focus, okay? So rewrite. This means g times h of x is function g of x times function h of x. Then we substitute. G of x is 3x minus 2. Parentheses 3x minus 2. Times h of x, which is x minus 3 squared. I picked this one with a purpose. What are you supposed to do first? The exponent. You should do the exponent for, well, that's what you should. You have to do the exponent first. You can't multiply 5 times 4 and then square something. Now, if you wanted to, you could do 5 times 4 times 4, and then you can go 20 times 4 and you get 80. But this is 5 times 16, and 5 times 16 is also 80. Exponent. When you're dealing with something like this, what it is you have this 3x minus 2 times x minus 3 and another x minus 3. Here's the bad thing. If I multiply this together first, nothing wrong with it. It's kind of ugly. I'll show you. If I multiply these two together, I'm going to get 3x to the second minus 9x minus 2x plus 6. And I still have to multiply times x minus 3. Now here's where it goes wrong. Before I multiply again, simplify your first product. Before you multiply this one times this one, simplify this one. It's 3x to the second minus 11x plus 6 times x minus 3. Still nothing wrong with it. Now you got to multiply back again. That's where it gets a little tricky. Remember, when you multiply this out, FOIL doesn't work. FOIL does not have enough letters. FOIL's great if you go first times first, 3x times x is 3x squared. Outside times outside, 3x times negative 3, negative 9x. Inside, negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Last times last, negative 2 times negative 3, positive 6. That's great. But FOIL doesn't have enough letters to do 3 things that you can do. It's distribution. So you can do 3x squared has to multiply by both of those. 3x to the second times x is 3x to the third. Positive times a negative. 3x squared times negative 3 is negative 9x to the second. 3x squared has been distributed. Now it is negative 11x is correct. Negative 11x times x. Negative times a positive will be a negative. 11x times x is 11x to the second. A negative times a negative will be a positive. 11x times 3 is positive 33x. And then the 6 is turned. Positive 6 times x is positive 6x. Positive 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And then you gather up your like terms. There's my 3x cubed. Your x squared is negative 9x squared minus 11x squared. That is a total of negative 20x to the second. X to the first, 33x plus 6x is 39x to the first. And then a minus 18. Perfectly fine. Here's better, at least in my opinion. I'm going to multiply those two. And first of all, because it's a nice perfect square, I don't have to work it out the long way. I know this answer is x squared minus 6x plus 9. Because I know the special product for a minus b squared. And let's pretend I don't. 3x minus 2, x minus 3, and then x minus 2. It is going to be beneficial if you multiply the last two first. You do these two. And here's why. It's so much easier to keep track of distributing 2 terms into 3 terms than trying to keep track of these 3 rainbows with those 2 terms. You see, I got 3 rainbows there, okay, these 3 different colors. Here, I'm just going to distribute 3x to each one. So 3x times x to the second, 3x to the third. 3x times negative 6x is negative 18x squared. 3x times positive 9 is positive 27x. 3x has been distributed. Now it's negative 2 term. Negative 2 times x to the second is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times negative 6x is positive 12x. Negative 2 times positive 9 is negative 18. By the right terms, there's my positive 3x to the third. Negative 18x squared, another negative 2x squared. Negative 18 and negative 2 make negative 20 of those x squared. Positive 27x's, another 12x's is 39x's. And a minus 18. They're both correct. Yes. 13 on the I put it over here so I don't have to erase the bottom part there. 13, using interval notation, tell where the function is increasing and where it's decreasing. Interval notation, it's about the x's. Where on the x-axis is the function from left to right increasing or decreasing? The y values are either going to get bigger or smaller. That's how you know something's increasing or decreasing, but it's about what's going on the x-axis. So we're always looking at it from left to right. So from left to right, from negative infinity, this function is doing what? It's decreasing. It's getting smaller. These y values are going down until we get to what? 0 on the x or 0 on the y. I know it's 0 is there. Until we get to this x coordinate that's 0. For these x's, it decreases all the way until we get to 0. So from negative infinity to 0, and on your test at the bottom of the box, it'll say, where is it decreasing? So you put your answer for decreasing where it says decreasing. And then what interval is it going to be increasing on? It's increasing when the y values start to go back up. So from 0 to infinity. For these x's from 0 to infinity, it starts to increase. Let's look at 14 as well. Just so we can say them. So what is the function doing as we go from negative infinity all the way to here? And you know what? Let me give you a different picture. Let me just change this up because this is a little misleading, I guess, maybe because it's here at 0. I don't want you to think it's always 0. Let's pretend 0 is over here, and this is 3. So the y-axis is over here. So from negative infinity all the way until we get to 3, what does the function do? It's increasing. As we go from negative infinity to 3, the y values keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So from negative infinity to 3, the function is increasing. I can spell today. Go home and go down. And then at 3, then it's coming down the roller coaster. So the y values are getting smaller from 3 all the way to infinity. You're just looking at the picture. What interval is it increasing or decreasing? Okay, don't have numbers. Yes, it will have numbers. So it look more like from homework 1.4. Right here, number 24. So this is what confuses people when they see something like this. Would be a lot more like your cut. This is -5. You got -1, -2, -3. That's -4. This is 1, 2. So that right there will be 2, -4. Yeah, 3, 4. And test, where is the function increasing? Where is it decreasing? So as we go from left to right, what's going on with this part of the graph? What's it doing? Is it increasing or decreasing? So from left to what? From negative infinity, it's decreasing from negative infinity to what? To x equals 2. The fact that this y value is -4 has nothing to do with it. That's the minimum value. For what values of x, on what interval of x is it decreasing? For all of these x's from negative infinity until you get to 2, these y values are decreasing. And then at 2, they start to increase. They go back up. So from 2 to infinity, they're increasing. Here we go. Open interval, parentheses. Not brackets, parentheses. From 4 to 24. And nothing. Yes. Which one? Review something. G circle H of -5. So the composition of functions, G circle H. So first thing I want to see is the rewrite. G circle H of -5 means G of, and inside the G function is H of, and inside the H is -5. And so what are we doing first? H of -5 inside. The H function is x minus 3 squared. So H of -5 is equal to x minus 3. So -5 minus 3 and then squared. So H of -5 is equal to -8 parentheses. Squared, what do we get? Positive 64. So H of -5 is equal to positive 64. Rewrite it. Substitute H of -5, 64, and then repeat if necessary. This is now 64, G of 64. And inside the G function, it's 3 times x minus 2. So that's equal to 3 times 64. And that's minus 2. G of 64 is equal to 192 minus 2. So G of 64 is equal to 190. What else? 19C. B. 19B? Yeah. So 19B, we need H over F of -3. Rewrite. That means we want H of -3 in the numerator over F of -3 in the denominator. And substitute. H of -3. -3 goes into H. So that's going to be -3 minus 3, parentheses, -3 minus 3. And then you square it all over F of -3. So 2 times x plus 1. So that's going to be 2 times this -3. And then a plus 1. And we simplify it. Rewrite it. Show me the step. Substitution. Show me the substitution. And then simplify. -3 minus 3 is -6. Parentheses squared. All over 2 times -3 is -6. And a plus 1. -6 to the second is positive 36. -6 plus 1 is -5. So H over F of -3. I'll take any one of these 3 possible answers. 36 over a -5. That works. Or -36 over 5. You can either put -36 over 5. They're all the same. No decimals. Even as an improper fraction. One that? What's your 9? multiple choice. Not multiple gas, multiple choice. So it's a piecewise function. And we have 4 different possible answers. You don't have to try to graph it. What you want to do is you want to try to use process of elimination. Okay? Now, unfortunately, the one that I showed you when I tried to make it feel pretty good about having to do one of these. On one side, we had, where it's, the 2 houses are divided and x equals 1. But then the other pictures, it was over here on the other side, like -1, which is impossible. Since that's a positive one, it can't be over here. Well, all of these are on the 1. Yeah. And that can be that easy. But here's how you tell them. Now I don't want to go too far. Let's just do this. Who owns 1? So you have, there's your 0. Here's 1. X less than or equal to 1. We have x greater than 1. Which side of the graph is going to own the 1? To the left or to the right?
To the left.
To the left, less than 1. This side of the graph owns the 1. So when you graph that, if you actually had to graph it by hand, here's the 1. This house, they own the fence, which means when you plot this graph on the left-hand side, it would have a solid point, and then whatever the graph is supposed to do would have a line going to the left. But because the left-hand side, less than or equal to 1, since they have the equals to the left of 1, they should have the solid circle. If it was here, then greater than 1 to the right would have the solid. But it's to the left. So to the left of 1 should have a solid. This is the left of 1. It cannot be A because that's an open circle. Can't be A. It might be B because here's 1. The solid circle is on the part that goes left. It might be C because here's the solid circle on the part that goes to the left. And of course, it might be D because that's the solid circle and it goes to the left. So at least you got rid of 1. Then what did we talk? We talked. Plug in the fence. Plug in 1. Because as you can see, when you plug in 1, we get -3. This is also 1 -3. But up here, that's 1 +3. So if I plug in 1, if I get -3, then it's either this one or this one. But if I get +3, then the answer is D on done. D for done. So I'm going to plug in 1. What is -1 minus 2? Negative. So when I plug in 1, I get -3. So it's this one. This one. It can't be D. At least I got a 50% chance now. No, you don't. You can still whittle it down. What are you supposed to do on the right-hand side? Plug in the 1. But it's going to be an open circle. If I plug in 1, what's 2 times 1? 2. So 2 minus 3 is -1. If I put 1 into the bottom part, it would be an open circle at 1, -1. Because it doesn't have an equals, it would be open at 1, -1. That's an open circle at 1, -1. So it's good. This is an open circle at 1, +1. So it can't be C. It has to be B. Now, that's how you can analyze it a long way. You want the shortcut. What is that? The slope. If the slope is greater than 0, what is the line? Up to the right, it rises. The line goes this way. And if slope is less than 0, it's negative, it goes this way. What's the slope on this part? It's a 2. So that's a positive. To the right of 1, the line should be going up. You see it over here, go down. Can't be that. Likewise, what's the slope over here? -1. So the left-hand side of the house, this line should be going down like this. It should be going in this direction. So this one, they have negative slopes. So that's why it can't be this one. What is this? What is that? The y-intercept, and you see how the y-intercept right there is -2? This y-intercept was +2. That's -2 as well. If this one could cross the y-axis, what would this y-intercept have to be? Like -3. Do you think this one over here is going to cross the y-axis at -3 if it could keep going? No. Elimination. It's not going to be that one. All you have to do is use that unfortunate 5-letter keyword, think. 5-letter? Yeah, 5-letter. It's not impossible. But you have to approach it. Thinking it through. What else? All right. Not like I'm asking you to grab if I can. That's so, number 8, square root. And if you're looking at your review sheet, it is actually drawn in by me, touches. So y equals a square root x minus h, and then after that is a plus k. So here, what is a equal? -1. So it takes the square root graph, and instead of going up to the right, the negative is going to flip it down to the right. Well, that's going to eliminate which of these. Can't be D. Got to be flipped. D is right sided. And then in here, we have something with X, so there's an H. What is H? A -3, built-in negative. So the whole thing's been shifted to the left 3. And then what about a K? 0. So it's just this graph that is usually like this. It's been shifted 1, 2, 3 to the left, and it's going to look like that. So, oh, my bad. And it's also flipped. Oops. And it's also flipped. 1, 2, 3, flip. This one has been shifted up. That would be if K was a +3 and flipped upside down. This is going to the right. So that means you would have to see X -3 here. So it's flipped upside down, and H is a -3 shifting to the left. Okay. So absolute value, they're all B shapes. Get into the habit. We're looking for y equals a absolute value x minus h plus a k. What is the a that's here? +1. So it's not flipped. There's no reflect. H inside. What do we got? -2. So it's going to go to the left 2. So we have a K. What is it? -3. So it's going to go down 3. So that means the vertex, the sharp corner on the vertex of the absolute value, is going to be at -2, -3. So on A, that went to the right, so it can't be A. This one went to the right and up, so it can't be B. This one went to the right, 1, 2, 3. Not 2, it went 3 to the right. And then down 2. The vertex is -2, -3. -1, -2, down 1, 2, 3. So it has to be B. Find the vertex. See again, 21, 22. All right. Be the one that actually has the of course, order of pairs label. Because on your graph it has this thing. One for G, B circle F inverse of -2. But this is from what we did in class when I did 94 to 100 meters. So I'm going to apply it to the same picture from the review sheet. G circle F inverse of -2. So the first thing you have to do is rewrite. This is G of, inside that is F inverse of -2. So what you got to figure out first is what is F inverse of -2. Okay? We're going to do that. So remember the inverse function. Inverse functions switch X and Y. I have values for the F function. I have negative, I'm not going to write it. This on the inverse function, -2 goes into the inverse. I need the answer. I need the Y value. So that means, this is the inverse. That means on the function, on the actual picture of F of X, this is F of X. So this domain is the function's range. What goes into the inverse is what comes out of the original function. So I got to look at these ordered pairs. Where does the Y value equal -2? Right here. What X made that happen? So on the inverse, it would be this ordered pair switch. You switch them. So now I know that F inverse of -2 is equal to 3. So now I know I'm now going to rewrite G of 3. Because that's what F inverse of -2 is. So now I go over to the G function and we're putting not into the inverse, but actually into G. When 3 goes in, you get 5. You're looking at the map. Write it as an ordered pair. You gotta do the inside first. What does this mean? We want to plug -2 into the inverse function. Well, where's the -2 coming from? It's the y coordinate from the original function. Where does the y coordinate equal -2? When x is 3. So the inverse function would have the order pair -2, 3, because the function has 3, -2. So now I know this is a 3. Then put 3 to 2. What else? 23. 23. F of x is 2x plus 4. G of x is x squared plus 3x. We want G circle F of 5x minus 2. You're right. E of inside that is F of inside that is 5x minus 2. So you got to figure out F of 5x minus 2 first. So, but 5x minus 2 in for x right here. F 5x minus 2 is equal to 2 times 5x minus 2. And then you add 4. F of 5x minus 2 is equal to 2 times 5x is 10x. 2 times -2 is -4. And then plus 4. So what do we get? Just 10x. This is just a 10x. So this is just now g of 10x. Rewrite the circle notation into its composite function notation. Work on the inside, substitute, simplify, and repeat. This is now g of 10x. Now we're going to substitute. 10x is going in for x. 10x is going in there. All the x's get replaced with a 10x. So instead of x squared, it's parentheses 10x is going to get squared. Plus 3 times, instead of x, it's 3 times 10x. So 10x squared is 100x squared. And 3 times 10x is 30x. So on your test, at the very bottom of the box, your final answer, what is G circle F of 5x minus 2? 100x squared plus 30. No. At least one, maybe two. So find the slope and the y-intercept. The key that's going to help you with number 3 is question 5 and 6. Right in the question of 5 and 6, it says, write the equation in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So there's a hint, there's a clue. Y equals mx plus b. That's how you find the slope and the y-intercept. You have to solve for y. At the bottom, bonds, what is slope equal? What's the y-intercept equal? We got to solve for y. And this y box. So you tell, take 7x to the right side, add 7x. You have positive 5y. Your work's got to justify your answer. You have a 7x plus 35. And then to solve for y, you just divide all your terms, each term by 5. Each term gets divided by 5. If you can simplify, you have to simplify and reduce it. So there's y equals 7 over 5 times x, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. So the slope is 7 over 5, not the x. The slope is the coefficient of x, not x. X is one of the ordered pairs on the graph. It's the x coordinate of the ordered pair. So it's the coefficient. So the slope is 7/5, and the y-intercept is 6.
The number 5 on the review, please.
500. Okay, we're going to 12, negative 15, and 4 pi. Which will be the last one. Equation of the line goes through just like your second quiz. So first thing you have to do is you got to find the slope. You have 2 points. Slope's going to be y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So we're going to subtract this 5, that y value minus, this is a negative 15, over this x, which is 4, minus this x, which is 12. We get 5 plus 15 over 4 minus 12, which is negative 8. This is positive 20 over negative 8. Reduce it to lowest term. So it's going to be a negative. This is 4 times 5. And this is 4 times 2. So the slope is negative 5 over 2. Always reduce it to lowest terms. Not a special case. It's not horizontal. It's not vertical. So then write down what you're supposed to find. Y equals mx plus b. Please wait, I'm done. Plug in the slope. Negative 5 over 2 times x plus b. You just have to figure out b. To figure out b, you need to plug in x and y, and you can solve for b. So pick an x and a y, either 12, negative 15, or 4, 5. Which one do you want to use? Okay. So if we use this one, you're going to let x equal 4, and y is equal to 5. So 5 goes in for y equals negative 5 over 2. X is equal to 4, W 4. And you're solving for b plus b. 5 equals negative times positive goes to a negative. 2 goes into 4 twice. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10 plus b. Result b at 10. 5 plus 10 is 15. That's the y-intercept. Right there. Finished problem. Negative 5 over 2x. And then plus 15. One go ahead on it. All right.